Hello there. How's everybody doing? We are in the midst of a virus. I don't know when you're going to see this video. I think it's about the 14th of April at this time. A lot of things. Um, the news cycle of the virus kind of has reached its kind of plateaued. What I mean is, like, if you followed as closely the virus as I did, especially on CNN, they talked about the virus progressing. There was just up to minute play by play on this virus, and a lot of things correlate with the virus, the progression of the virus, and whatnot. So, right now, finally plateauing, and now that the dust is cleared, we kind of know who's going to die if they are on ventilators and stuff. And so, now that we're out of well, now that crisis mode is abating, is kind of falling off, or at least has leveled off, we're focusing now again on our biases, our polarities, on how to fight each other. um, you know, who has power, who does not, and all these things are coming back um, to the fore. Yeah, I liken it to a group of men, the Jewish, Spanish, black, white, you know, Chinese. They're kind of in the same. They're on the same side, but um, in a wartime. But fighting's been, you know, very benign, and there's been the fighting's been over there, so they can coalesce in their respective groups and coalesce. But suddenly they're in the middle of a barrage, and they jump all in the same foxhole and know how to get along to survive the attack. Yeah, yeah, stress, crisis, that'll do that. In the next coming days, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm still promoting Dr. Anderson's message, and Boyce Watkins, some other resources that I always have, always will, because they brought me my little baby steps to where I could get, a different foundation, and then I can get a new perspective. You see it in the same way as religion. Oh, anything where there's an advancement. Think about advancements, right? U.S. government, right? It's the men back there. Yeah, I know we talk down about them, the slave owners, and how they did this and that, but they did learn some valuable lessons, and they put the United States in a different position where power is it's still a little lopsided, but at least there's some governors and controls on power, unlike, say, China, Russia, North Korea, some of the Middle East countries where there is no democracy, there's monarchy, and um, you know that kind of singular rule, and the seats of power are passed along to family members and things like that. The United States, we should be glad we have not did not go that route, because if you look at the news cycles now, 14th of April, um, I'm glad that there are some checks and balances against our current administration. Uh, because who knows what kind of madness we would dive into. In any event, I'm going to be musing and I'm switching gears a little bit, maybe for the remainder. I don't know. This is kind of my show, and I'm able. I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't get paid or anything. If Google ever contacted me and wants me to plug something, maybe I probably should because that's a lot of storage there. So yeah, otherwise, I'm just going to free flow and see what happens. The thing is, well, let me just say this first. I'm Tom Lindsay Nyback. This is 365 days towards racial change, and we're still talking about black in America being disadvantaged and all that. Um, how to get along, history. We look at a lot of if you look at some of the past videos, this is number 324. You look at some of the past videos, and you'll see the message and the progression and all that. A lot of historical facts, and then I bring in current events and all these things, and it's just an important look at the world, what we've done to each other, and whatnot. And and I don't know how to respond. How do we respond to that? Being black, I have black skin, but I'm gifted. I feel like I'm better gifted, better equipped mentally, emotionally, and a lot of that than so many this white majority power counterpart that struts its power and privilege around the world. Well, now there's been a switch. Had this virus never come along and had um, distress and crisis around the world remained um, specific to specific locations and people and whatnot, I would probably continue the same approach to waking up minds, to getting people to shake them out of their slumber and their sleep, their passivity habits, and try to shake them out of that and say, look what's really going on. We have an opportunity to change. Well, something came along, and not just the virus, but the what the virus did. And the virus took the whole globe and shut down all activity, all economic movement. And in that space, I see actually that, my message for the past 323 episodes was built on, I hope I can articulate this right. It was built on responding to a myth, a condition in the world. Um, and I say myth because it's not real. Economics is not real, right? We've rushed. It's not real in the sense that maybe not real is not the good right word. It's not necessary. That's a better word. Our economics regimes in every space on the planet is just not necessary, right? And that's a huge statement philosophically because it says wars, lives lost, you know, um, a system that is economically stratified and determines the course of lives and generations. It's not necessary. It's first, and follow me here. It's like first, like for hundreds of years, well, thousands. If you have a if you know your Bible, it's ever since Cain built cities, right? What's that? Genesis 4 or 5, right? And you don't have to be religious to understand this. The idea when man consolidated, um, when man refined, as man refined various processes to sustain himself, he created um, this model where people with dysfunction they get to live up here, and people with dysfunction live down here, right? Sometimes the people up top enforced it through slave labor, force, killing, terrorism, and all that. So sometimes if the bottom group is agreeable, it went along and less force is necessary. We're seeing now with this virus that that's not necessarily how things have to be. You know, like if you want to see some billionaires' hair turn white, let's propose we divvy up the land, and there's a lot of land. There's plenty of natural resources. Are being huddled together, shoulder to shoulder, in our cities and in our communities. That gives us that leaves us with the idea that there's not enough room and stuff. I used to drive tractor trailers. There are what billions of square miles of acres. Hmm? I'm talking, you know, between cities, right? It's like 3 hours out in the country driving, right? Doing between 65, 70 miles an hour on a straight road. 3 hours between some of these cities. Yeah, on the East Coast it gets dense. Yeah, because that's the mindset, that's the model. I'm very abstract right now because the world is abstract. We've lost. It's like the sun is shining on the world, but a light switch has been pulled. A lot of the rhetoric about we want to turn the economy back on like that. Well, oh, no. There's we had a big system going, and there's if you're mechanically inclined, if you've ever had to siphon water or move liquid from one space to another using a hose, you gotta you don't just stick the hose in there. You gotta prime it. You've got to condition this element to receive the action of what you intend to do. It's called priming. I used to um, work in a blueberry field, and we had an old hand pump. You probably seen in the very black and white movies, maybe. But yeah, good, clean water out of the ground. But to get her to work, you had to prime it. You had to pour some water in to get the proper vacuum and pressure inside the pipe so you could pull the water up out of there, right? So we got this big economic machine, but I say it's a myth, not necessary and all that, because now that it's off, we've got a chance to restart this thing and create an equitable system. We're not, right? Because no, the greed mongers, I'm afraid we may regress to some of our more barbaric solutions, economic solutions that we have in the past, and that's war. Let's create some machinery and start grinding up bodies and really solidify our boundaries and uh, barriers between people because they are after us. And, good war will get that machine going. We've done that consistently in the past. You look at our past, and many of the conflicts. Uh, Matter of fact, this book right here will make your hair stand on end when you see how war is used as the ultimate stimulus package, right now. And this book talks about this too, about the way a country has the power to turn out its own money. That's economic suicide. You're playing with economic fire when you do that. Right now, the United States is doing that, lowering interest rates, pumping out, printing money at will. Oh boy, all these things, it has changed the message here, right? We're going to go along with the times because the slavery and all that stuff, that machine was going, perpetuating itself and all that, right? And it's not necessary now, we see. The whole playing field is level. I'm hoping that those at a disadvantage, those who are being abused and subjected, oh no, to harsh labor in the system would say, you know what? I don't have to do this. We don't have to come back to a space where I'm making you rich anymore. I want to self determine my life. Stay away. I'll participate in the infrastructure as much, equally with everybody else, but I'm not bearing the load of life so that you can live downtown in a penthouse suite or have acres of land out in the country on your farm. No, that's what I hope the masses do. I hope the masses wake up. Very complicated, hard to articulate it. Let me get to the message, though, of what I brought today. I hope the last, 40 some days that are left on this project don't bore you, but there's been a big event in the world. It's almost like we got hit by a meteor. A dinosaur extinction level event has happened, and so it's appropriate that the message this late. You got 300 and some other messages to think about. I'm inspired. I come to this point because I was introduced to the work of a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. I encourage you to get these books. These are still relevant. This is the foundation of how I come to this point of understanding, oh, the world as it is today, the opportunities we're faced with. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice. And Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America, Powernomics. You can find Dr. Anderson here on YouTube and on Powernomics.com. And listen, it's interesting. Just a couple episodes ago, I said, well, this is a little irrelevant, and uh, this is about this is a few years old now, and his ideas. But interesting enough, this is an opportunity to get his um, to enact some of this uh, with little resistance. Unfortunately, I hope there are some people giving the message in some other way or form. Oh, we go. We're gonna review some of these things. Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's important again. It's very relevant. Now we can reflect and see. Okay, America was this way for hundreds of years. It continued even after proclamations and freedoms and stuff like that. It continued its way now with the virus shutting down the world, we got an opportunity to make some changes. Behind me, you see the hashtag #US2 symbol. You'll find Black women supporting one another. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Black Facebook experience. Um, Black Business Mind. This is the opportunity for Black business since we're all in the race together again. Where the starting line is here now. Now, Black folks, are you going to continue selling drugs and giving your freedom away? Keep fighting the system with your drug selling and stuff, and all the dysfunctions in the Black community. We could erase that, don't you see? We could let the white legal machine arrest their own people. But Black folks, we don't have to participate in illegal stuff anymore. Get in rehab, clean up, and stay sober. Hold on to your stuff. Bring family values. I don't know. I just sometimes I wonder if Black people have family values. Sometimes all the divorce and sleeping here. Don't watch Tyler Perry's shows and all the drama and sexuality. BET is such a farce. I hate that channel. Those houses where these Black models are in all kinds of these sexually dramatic situations. Well, the community tries to live that, Mr. Perry. Come on, dude. Oh, all right, with the time left, I want to take a moment. I'm gonna. This is considered a critique of Dr. Anderson's message, but notice I'm not using critique in a to criticize. It's not used in a pejorative sense. It's not used in negativity. It is uh, philosophically when a person engages in a critique, they are examining, right? And they are offering some possible alternatives, or they may reject some line of thought completely. But it's not a negativity as like you're out on the block or walking down the street and say, you got ugly shoes, right? It's not that type of criticism. It is, it's an examination of something and offering maybe some alternatives, or even sometimes the critique is to um, further explain what is happening in that person, process, or event. So today, with our last few minutes, I noticed something. Now, this is something that came up before the virus collapsed the planet Earth. As we didn't get Godzilla, Mothra, King Kong, or anything like that. Any kind of Leviathan. We got this little microscopic bug and his buddies and his family just came and knocked out a whole planet. Um, so this is Black sustainability, and I realized, I was going on and on, and you're going to want to read the description at the bottom of this video for more detailed. I kind of ran out of time today, but Black sustainability, but this goes hand in hand. It's amazing the way a lot of this stuff resonated beautifully. But in Dr. Anderson's work, he gives us a lot of ideas and a lot of ways to uplift the Black community, get us on a level playing field, on better uh, better ground to, see a prosperous and competitive Black community on the earth. Very important, right? Great goal. And he gave us a lot of points, a lot of ways to establish that and make that happen. But I feel like he forgot the one, well, a couple things. Hey, and somebody younger than me later on is going to come and probably push this further. But right now, I want to add to Dr. Anderson's message, you know, his ethno aggregation, vertical integration, keeping things, uh, within the Black community, uh, so that we could secure that competitive position in America, at least, and prosper, just like the other groups do. You've heard this many times: Jewish, Hispanics, Vietnamese, Hmong, white folks, of course, right? The thing is, us Black folks, boy, we're so quick to jump in and be a part of. I love the message. We're all in this together. It's like, wow, when did that happen? You know, I can't even get properly promoted at my job on the workplace because of my color and my age. Probably my size is part of that too. And all of a sudden, we're all in this together. It's like I said at the top, remember the barrage where you got the Chinese, Jewish, white, Black, Hispanic, you got all these groups, you know, kind of on the same side. But when the barrage comes, they all jump in the same foxhole and know how to get along. So, I guess they call this virus, they use warfare terms and all that. But with Dr. Anderson, he gives us great ideas at establishing these. I'll call them even points of light, points of economic light for Black folks. But then, just a few episodes ago, I was talking about Barry Gordy, and Barry builds up this huge, great machine and whatnot, and sells it to a Danish company. I mean, how many times does the Black man have to build up these great edifice? I don't know what the plural of that will sound like. All these great structures, and then sell it off to the white man, right? What a win-win. You know, so often we are just stewards. I can't think of people more creative than Black folks. Well, I mean, we were creative by necessity. I like Wynton Marsalis talks about how creative the slave had to be. Different food, religion stripped away, sleep with who they tell you to sleep with, work as long and as hard as, and you got to be creative to survive that. So creativity is in we are inherently under that because there was this white maniac over us, rapistic and murderous against us. So my um, I know I babbled on and on, and my thoughts may not have been very focused because just a lot is going on. But today's primary message I want to get through to you. If you look back at the past 300 so messages about Black history and building business and things like that, this is just to push us a little bit beyond those ideas. Those are important and those are some necessary steps to get us to the place where I want. I so much would like to see a black sustainability. Like, let's establish a Motown. Um, I don't know. In the past, I talked about some of our businesses, um, car manufacturing, right? It was such a like a novelty, but we did not sustain it. How many black businesses either get um, crushed, subsumed, absorbed into white economics? We populate um, a lot of the sports world, but we don't own those franchises. Well, we should totally own football, basketball. That should be exclusively black owned, right? We had our shot with baseball. Baseball is a little that's evened out. That's more that's a skill and stuff. It's not a contact thing, but you notice, the closer contact you have, um, the more uh, you have more black representation. It'd be the same in hockey, but it costs money to maintain ice, which means it costs money to participate. Basketball, football, you go to any playground and do that for free and develop your skills. Anyway, I don't want to hold you hostage, but black sustainability. Look at the description. You'll see a more detailed analysis of today's message. But don't miss your opportunities with this virus. You got an opportunity right now. And even if you're seeing this 2 or 3 years later, we're still in recovery mode. It's going to take at least a decade to get the machine up and running again. But it's not going to be the same as it was. And you're going to see people who understood the opportunity just bubble up to the top. I just wish I had me just a few $1,000s I could dump somewhere and watch it come up. I'm Thomas Nyback. That's day 324 out of the way. 365 days towards racial change. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.